Good evening and a very warm welcome to Radio and Television Tonga News Package for the hour. Making headlines, Finance Minister believes that the increase of tax on food import from overseas will help minimize the consumption of unhealthy eating. Government signed yesterday the official agreement with the Asian Development Bank to fund the infrastructure maintenance work for the Quincelote Wharf. And police is working with schools to maintain safety of children. Now for the stories in detail. The Finance Minister believes that the increase of tax on food import from overseas will help minimize the consumption of unhealthy eating in Tonga. The issue was raised during the deliberation of the Whole House Committee this morning, in which he raised some amendments about the excise tax regulation. Mark Ake tells you more.
The Finance Minister, Honorable Tongatapu, says the aim of the amendment is to increase the tax on unhealthy imported goods, as it will encourage healthy eating. The government thinks it's wise to increase the excise tax in order to minimize unhealthy eating and lifestyles in Tonga. These goods include sugary drinks and biscuits, so we're planning on increasing the taxes on these imported goods, which are unhealthy for consumption. However, the people representative of AWA 11, Daniela Fusmalohi, said that people are free to eat whatever they want, despite the government's proposal. He also mentioned that people are still buying chicken meat despite its price increasing in the market. Meanwhile, the Minister of Health, Dr. Saya Piukala, responded that it has been confirmed in previous surveys they received good results from increasing the prices of cigarettes. When the prices of tobacco increased, which is a risk factor and contributes greatly to NCDs, the 2021 survey results showed that fewer people smoke tobacco. I believe if we do the same for imported goods, we will see similar results from it. Yes, people are free to eat whatever they want, but the government will pay for their medical expenses, all from eating these unhealthy foods. So that is something we need to consider. We spend a lot of money every year sending our people overseas for medical treatments due to NCDs. The Whole House Committee approved the amendments to the excise tax regulations with 13 members in favor.
Tonga Police has reinforced its support to keeping young children in primary schools safe. Several complaints have been received by Tonga Police from parents and citizens stating that there have been incidents of suspicious males that have attempted to take young children into their vehicles. Mark Ake again with the detail.
Last Friday, a Class 2 student was approached by a male stranger trying to convince the child to get into his vehicle. Luckily, an adult who knew the child was nearby and prevented any unwanted result from the situation. Police on their visits to schools in Tongatapu reassured principals and teachers of their ongoing support through increased visibility and visits at targeted times to and around the schools. Principals and teachers are also encouraged to share with police anything that comes to their attention and that would likely place their young students' lives and safety at risk. Some safety measures proposed for schools and parents have been imposed, including the reminding of students not to talk to strangers and not to accept anything offered by anyone other than their parents, family members, or teacher. Parents and principals must comply with these instructions, including picking up their child on time, sharing a list of those who can pick up their child with the school, provide lunches for their children to prevent children from leaving the school compound, school gates to be locked during school hours, having a designated location that can easily be monitored for drop-off and pickups. A teacher must accompany students while waiting for pickup at the end of school and alert police should you or the child feel unsafe.
Although the Whole House Committee and the Legislative Assembly approved the Teachers' Registration Regulation 2021, the Tongatapu 2 and 5 MPs are still concerned about the regulation.
The Prime Minister, who is also the Minister of Education and Training, Honorable Huakavame Liku, clarified that teachers must be tested and vetted before they get officially registered to ensure their knowledge and skills are up to standard. He says this can improve their services in the future for the sake of education and the future of our children. Tongatapu 2 People's Representative Dr. Ohila Moilangi Fasi elaborated that the concern is towards those who aren't teachers but hold degrees and qualifications since they aren't being paid for running night classes for students. This is because the regulation only applies to teachers working at early childhood education centers, primary, secondary, or tertiary schools, local training institutions, theological institutions, and retired teachers who have been or will be re-engaged by the Ministry of Managing Authority to work as a teacher or foreign volunteer. Nuku'alofa explained that according to the regulation, a person providing teaching services outside the classroom or in a community setting where there is a group of 5 or more students will be judged on certain areas, including their special training courses qualifications, their educational backgrounds, and most importantly, the way teachers deliver their lessons to the children. Meanwhile, the people representative of Tongatapu 5, Dr. Aisake said during the whole house committee deliberation that he believes that this regulation cannot include those who volunteer to help out students during night classes, but is only applicable to teachers who teach inside of a classroom. The amendments for the Teacher Registration Regulations 2021 were approved by the whole house committee with 11 members in favor and 5 members in disapproval.
The government signed yesterday the official agreement with the Asian Development Bank and related stakeholders that are committed to fund the infrastructure maintenance work for the Quinsalote Wharf. The project is to start next month after 24 years from its last maintenance in the late 1990s. The project is known as the Taulanga Nuku'alofa Maintenance Project, estimated to worth a value of 130 million Tongan pa'anga. During the signing ceremony, Baldwin Fa'atusia of ATP says, despite the challenges of financial preparation to start this infrastructure project, its signing commencement yesterday has shed lights to another commitment of funding the Whanga'uta Bridge from Anana to the Folaha area. Prime Minister Ho'akavamei Liku acknowledged the Asian Development Bank and related stakeholders for enabling the project to happen. However, the infrastructure maintenance to the Quinsalote Wharf will be carried out by 2 New Zealand contractors. And the Ministry of Education hosted a public lecture this evening with teachers from the Tonga Institute of Education. And the aim is to strengthen the knowledge and teaching experience of teachers in Tonga.
The coordinator of the public lecture program from the Tonga Institute of Education, Viliami Wakapuna, says the hope is to instill necessary knowledge and skills within the teachers so that they may teach students more effectively. We believe in the theory that every teacher becomes a researcher. Usually what teachers do is only teach. With this program, we'll begin with the teachers trained at the Institute before moving on to those currently teaching to teach them about research and how that should be a responsibility for every teacher. As they research, they'll gain a deeper understanding of the subjects they are teaching and will know the content better. We've seen some problems from teaching as a result of the lack of research, so this public lecture will be of great assistance to our teachers. Wakapuna also hopes that parents will be able to attend so they can help their children during this difficult time with COVID-19. We also have videos that can help parents assist their children from home, and that is what the public lecture is all about. It's about moving forward for a better learning experience for our children that will help them have a better future. Meanwhile, Failo Taufa from the Tonga Institute of Education talked about how this public lecture was first initiated. The program was initiated last year with the purpose for teachers to do thorough research on their subjects so students can become more familiar and gain better understanding of its content. The public lecture is available to anyone who wishes to attend.
That wraps up this evening's news package, but before we part, here's one final look at today's top stories. Finance Minister believes that the increase of tax on food import from overseas will help minimize the consumption of unhealthy eating in Tonga. Government signed yesterday the official agreement with the Asian Development Bank to fund the infrastructure maintenance work for the Quinsalote Wharf. And police is working with schools to maintain safety of children. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your company. I'm Paula. Good evening.